Action. Action. All right. Hello everybody. Welcome to Comedically. Hello everybody. Welcome to Comedically Correct.
I'm Corey Evans.
And I'm Andrew Holiday. Thank you guys for tuning in.
How many episodes do you think it's going to take for us to nail that?
We will nail it. Let's talk to some odds makers. Get some over under on that. So first off, how are things going?
Things are good. I'm kind of in a little rough spot. I don't know what happens, but I can tell I'm depressed based on how often I'm sleeping on the couch. And I've been sleeping on the couch for like the last 7 days. And I don't really know why I'm depressed, which I guess is part of depression. But I slept in my bed last night and I was like, you're going to be a grown up. You're going to sleep in your bed. And I think that's been helping. It's been 1 day, but I feel like I'm about to pull out of this. I've been in kind of a funk recently. What about you?
I've actually been feeling pretty good. Haven't slept in my bed in over a year, but you know, that's neither here nor there. What a jerk. I had to make that about myself instantly.
I know. I also feel terrible complaining to you whenever you're like, how are you? Like, I've got to be like, still got my damn lungs. I don't know, Andrew.
Didn't almost die recently. Like,
for those of you who don't know, Andrew was actually swimming in Galveston and was attacked by a shark and it punctured both of his lungs.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be on the news, but there was something about PETA like threatened to sue this news organization, but because Andrew is the first person to survive a shark attack where both lungs are punctured and then fight off the shark himself. Yeah. So he's made an amazing recovery, but it has taken a long time. Yeah. So, you know, you might be able to read about it in the news. If you can't find it, you know, that just tells you what they're doing in the media. And if PETA hears this and tries to sue us, we'll just say we're making up the story because I can't afford a lawsuit right now. Yeah, it's really, you know, it's slap suits are something that, you know, they gotta take care of in this country. But you know, until then, frivolous lawsuits are just gonna be there. So anyway, yeah, I like doing that when people complain. Now I was like, oh yeah, well, you know, it's rough. That makes you a dick. I don't care. Yeah. I was talking to my buddy who has a baby now, like he is his first kid, and he's like, so I was like, how are things? And he's like, great, you know. He's like, I'm not sleeping well. And I was like, oh yeah, me neither. But I was like, it's hard to sleep with like 1,000 tubes inside your body. And he's like, oh yeah, no. He's like, I wouldn't even. I was like, dude, just chill. He felt so bad for being a human being who has problems. Yeah. Oh, jeez. I was like, you have no idea. Like, I have to sleep. Meanwhile, like my next door neighbor's coding. So, you know, like we all have issues, you know, stuff like that. But you said you were doing well. Is there any particular reason you're just feeling good? A very lovely lady texted me. I have a girl that I kind of dated a while back. And so what's weird, by the way, is there's a lot of like old flames that have been messaging me. Oh. And like it's a thing about getting attacked by a shark and almost dying. Yeah. All the girls come out of the woodwork. Yeah. And some of it I think it was just like, hey, like, because like a ton of my old friends too, like people I haven't talked to since high school and stuff like that were like, hey man, thinking about you and stuff like that, which I appreciate. But like also like there were like some people that were like, hey, do you remember a long time ago when like some pretty like intimate like memories? Do you remember that old Tahoe that you used to have? And I was like, yeah. And it's like, do you still have that? Do you remember one with the big back seat? And you're like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, we had some good times. And I was like, yeah. What are we talking about? Do you think I have a theory that there's kind of a fantasy, not with just women, but with people in general, of being like,
I am the boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other who hung by their side through thick and thin. I remember watching an Oprah episode when I was real young, and it was about a fiance, and she got pushed in the pool at her bachelorette party, and she broke her neck and could not walk anymore. And Oprah was interviewing her and her husband, who still married her after that. And she asked him why he stuck around. And he said, well, I just love her. I love her. And I was like, oh my God, I want to be that guy. And now I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. I want a wife who walks, you know? But
I wife that can like pick up those dry cleaning and shit. Like,
but
I do everything.
Do you think there's a fantasy of that, of being like, this will show like how deeply I can love is when I hang by their side through something tragic, and you know, I'm gonna be the girl who fell back in love with him because of his shark attack.
Yeah, I do think that that is a thing. So a few different young ladies from my past had messaged me or texted me that and like some of them were like very like persuasive and like leading. And I don't know, like at the time, especially like when I was in the hospital, I didn't really like have like that, like I wasn't like, I will like relationships stress me out enough like that I wasn't mentally ready for like anything like that at that time. But the girl I'm texting right now, I've actually really liked her. Like it was like a timing thing. Like her and I, like I think I've never been on the right timeline before, but like so like that one. So I'm kind of, like taking it as a, taking it as we go.
Yeah, and I wasn't shitting on that girl. Like I do also think there's like a little bit of like, oh, like I did not realize how much I cared about them until this happened. So
I think that's true with my mom.
She was just like, I guess I love him. He's my son or whatever.
Yeah.
Andrew's, for those of you who don't know, Andrew's mom is amazing. She like after his shark attack, she has been just kicking ass.
Oh yeah, dude.
It's insane. I think I've mentioned this on a previous podcast, but like sometimes I cried once just because like I was like, man, Andrew's mom is awesome. Moms are awesome.
Moms are awesome. But like, yeah, specifically mine. Like I hate to be like any of like the hospital like administration staff that was like, oh well, we can't accept Andrew's insurance. Like I would hate to be any of them like between like my mom and like me surviving. So yeah, like yeah, there was my mom's. But yeah, at the same time, she can be a bit naggy. She's not perfect.
God, yeah, she's just that jerk who uprooted her life and is living with you in Houston in a goddamn hotel room. What a fucking asshole.
Yeah, like she doesn't like all the shows I like, so we have to compromise.
Gross. I hate it.
People don't understand. So, all right, I guess on to the news. Corey was nice enough to make us an outline the same week that, hold on a sec.
That Andrew finally made us an outline. So now we have 2 outlines.
We have 2 outlines, but Corey's is better. Like now I'm like just embarrassed to show mine. Mine just like has like the names of the things that we're going to talk about. His has like bullet points.
I spend a lot of time making outlines as a teacher, so I've got that stuff nailed.
I spend a lot of times, well, not making outlines. I was hoping I would come up with a joke before the end of that sentence.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. You gotta have it ready. Gotta be ready.
I've surprised myself before. All right.
Have you ever gone up? I promise I will let us get to the news after this. Have you ever gone up on stage and forgot to record?
Yeah.
And then murdered for like 7 minutes, like some of the best comedy you've ever done, and none of it was written, and you get off stage, and the moment you step off stage, it's gone. And those might be the best jokes you've ever done, and you will never remember them again. It's absolutely gone.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've had that. I've had that exactly happen.
It's awful.
Where you're like, I'm sending this recording in. Have you Have you ever had it though? Like it was like the next day that you listened to it, you're like, I killed last night, and then it was just like okay, and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, and you're like, was I drunk?
One time I smoked weed. It was my first time smoking weed in years, and this was probably a year and a half into comedy. And I smoked weed, and someone had told me that I should watch Chris Rock. And so I was home alone. I was high for the first time in years. And so I watched Chris Rock's Bigger and Blacker. And then I got inspired because it's such a good special that I was like, I need to write more jokes because he's so good. I need to write more jokes. And so I wrote a bunch of jokes. And as I was writing them, I was like, holy shit, this is really good. I got to write high more often. And then I went to bed and I woke up the next day and I couldn't remember the jokes, but I remembered the feeling of going to bed and being like, oh my God, you just wrote the best jokes of your life. This is going to change everything. And I was so excited. And then I went to look at the stuff I'd written, and I had written down Bigger and Blacker. I'd written down a bunch of Chris Rock jokes word for word, high as hell, thinking they were my own, with a bunch of words I'm not allowed to say.
You know what? I almost see the comedic value of like just being you doing an entire Chris Rock set as Chris Rock.
It was the most disappointed I've ever been when I woke up, and I was like, not only did I not write any good jokes last night, I might have been racist, depending on who you talk to. I don't know. I think that's a good segue to our first story.
Yes. Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish.
Who I've gotten her name wrong so many times. I used to think her name was Billie English.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about her. I know a lot of my students really, really like her.
She's all right. Like she's cool. She's good. I mean, like it's not my generation. Like we're just past her, I think.
Yeah, we're past making trends. Like
yeah.
If someone comes out with a new album and it's the first album they've ever made and me and you like it, they're probably not going to be successful.
Yeah, that's true.
They're hitting the wrong audience. We're not listening to new music. I mean, I do occasionally, but mostly I'm listening to old music that I know I love.
Yeah. Like the Grammys and stuff like that and like MTV, they don't want like I still wear trucker hats.
Yeah. No one's like, I hope this 30-year-old bald guy who teaches 7th grade really loves this album.
Like I know the demographic I'm gonna hit, and it's us, and no one's excited about us showing up to their concert.
No, we're not fun at a concert.
Mm.
I don't like going to concerts anymore. I want to sit down. I'm going to a concert for Jamie Johnson and Chris Stapleton, and my mom bought them for my birthday, and she was so excited, and she said, I got you seats right in the front where it's standing room. And I thought, Jesus, that sounds awful. That sounds terrible, just to have a bunch of sweaty. And here's the thing, those guys don't have a lot of female friends or fans. It's just male fans. So it's going to be a bunch of other guys who look like me sweating and just like raising their hands and singing along to Jamie Johnson, who I also love, but I'm going to have a man's armpit on my face. I would rather just listen to his album at my house. I'm just old. I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. Like for a long time, like I would go to concerts I didn't like just because like I knew there would be girls there. Like Kevin Fowler, I went to like every time he came to town, like there'd just be a load of like hot chicks in short shorts showing up to his concert. Like cowboy boots and like those jean shorts is just that Texas look. Like that's perfect. So that'd be the only reason I'd show up to those things.
And there's something sexy about that, and there's also something kind of romantic about the idea of, and then I met this girl at a concert and this song was playing and it became our song, and then we got married. I've always been someone who's very I am very sexual, but also usually I'm very romantic, where I'm like, and then this happens and then we love each other forever.
Oh yeah. I'm actually secretly a hopeless romantic.
I think a lot of guys are. We're just not supposed to admit that for some reason.
Well, I'm just not good at it. Like I'm still gonna giggle if I say something that I think is cheesy. Like I'm gonna be like, this is gonna get me some, but I'm also gonna be like, idiot.
Yeah, it's so scary to say something nice to somebody.
Yeah.
I need therapy probably. Okay, Billie
Finally,
Eilish.
Billie Eilish, which is another thing I thought her name was. So Billie Eilish, when she was 13 years old, there was like 2 videos of her on TikTok. One with her just saying gibberish, and another one with her using a racial slur for Asian people. And it's all over the news. Like I've read like a few articles about it already. I want to say her explanation for using the racial slur, and she didn't actually use it. She was mouthing the words.
Uh-huh.
So that's also like a weird debate, as in like, sometimes some of our favorite songs have words that we can't use.
Yes, especially if you're a white guy who listens to rap music.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you're a white guy who listens to rap music and you tell me you have not said the N-word while singing, I don't believe you. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying, especially at my age when I was 13, going, I don't think this is bad. So it wasn't her going on a racist rant.
Yeah.
It was her singing along to a song, and according to her, and I mean, I can't tell any different. She didn't say the word, but she mouthed it.
And at the time, she also says that she had no idea what that word meant, which for me at that age, like 80% of the words in a lot of those songs, I did not know what they meant. I would pretend I did.
Here's where I call bullshit. She was singing the rest of the song.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? She was singing the lyrics to the rest of the song.
I believe so.
I'll double check. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, Billie. Please forgive me. Here's where I call bullshit. Because if she sang all those lyrics except the word, and I'm not going to read the word because I'm very uncomfortable doing that.
Yeah.
But the lyrics are, this is from a Tyler Creator song. Slip it in her drink, and in the blink of an eye, I can make a white girl look like a Asian racial slur.
It rhymes.
It rhymes. Yes, it rhymes with blink. It's an Asian racial slur. Tony Hinchcliffe knows a lot about it. That's a very deep comedy joke. No one cares about that guy if they're not in comedy.
Yeah. Like 6 people are going to be like, oh,
good one.
Actually, that's going to be great because like that's about our viewership.
But the thing is, if she sang all the words except that word, she's a liar. Because either she sang all the words, because if you don't know what that word means, why would you only mouth that word?
Maybe,
we might be wrong. She might have mouthed all the words. I might be wrong.
Yeah, because the only time I saw the video, there was like somebody else talking over it. So
sure. I might try to watch it again. Either way, even if she did mouth all the words, I don't necessarily know if she doesn't know what it means. I wasn't even big into music, and she obviously is. You got to be into music to become famous for music. But if I really liked a song, I would look up the lyrics and what they meant. I think, but here's the thing. I'm not trying to ruin Billie Eilish's career. We don't have that kind of power. I'm just saying, I wish
all 6 of our viewers are going to stop listening.
I wish there was more room for her to say, yeah, I said that word. I knew what it meant. I said the word. I did not think it was that bad at the time. I thought it was kind of funny. Now I realize I'm an idiot. Because I just feel that's the typical apology is, well, I didn't know what it meant. And I think to really start moving forward as people, we have to start going, I thought it was okay at the time. I've used like racial slurs a lot growing up, especially like at her age, she was 13 or 14. 13 and 14, I was saying the most terrible stuff in the world.
Yeah, just to get like laughs though, right?
Yeah, just because I thought it was funny, because I'm not supposed to say this, and the joke is I am saying it. And I'm not saying that's funny now, but I'm saying there has to be some kind of... She apologized, But I feel like even apologies now are PR stunts of, well, I didn't know what it meant, but I still apologize. But just, I kind of wish, and maybe it's not true. Maybe she did not know what that word meant, but I would just like to hear someone go, hey, I had a loose understanding of what it meant, but I did not have the emotional capacity at the time to really think about how that would harm people. Really, if you want to look back over the last this many years, being racist towards Asians has been okay up until like 3 years ago. I'm not saying it was okay.
Yeah, it wasn't okay, but like it was like one of those things where like when you're in the moment, it's different than looking back on the moment.
Yeah, well,
And it's hard to understand that until like you see a situation that like directly translates to you.
sure.
So, and that's why I think a lot of young people are like those like throwing the first stone stuff, like because they haven't been in that situation where like they've had to look back and kind of realize that because they're doing those dumb things now. They're just not, they just don't have the perspective to look back on it yet.
Yes. And here's the other thing. She also had a video come out with her using what definitely sounded like an Asian accent. And then she said that wasn't an Asian accent. That was like the baby voice I used to talk to my dogs and stuff. And I call bullshit. It sounded so much like an Asian accent. And once again, I don't hate her or think her life should be ruined. But instead of saying that wasn't an Asian accent, just be like, that was an Asian accent. I was 13 and all my friends thought it was funny. And when you're 13, you're a monster. You're a terrible person.
Oh, yeah.
I just think there should be more room for forgiveness to be like, I was 13. I said some terrible stuff. It's obviously terrible now. I'm going to lose a couple of listeners because of it. And good for y'all. If you should stop listening to me, because if that hurts you, there's nothing I can do to make it unhurt you. I apologize. I will take the consequences of it, but I'm not going to lie and tell you that it was not an Asian accent voice. I might be wrong.
Yeah. So I do want to share a story of something a friend of mine did. So a spook is a type of spy. And it was a term that we heard in a movie once. So he wrote a story in English class where, yeah,
I don't like this.
And then it turns out that is
Racial
also
slur.
a racial
Yes.
slur. So, and our teacher informed us. Our teacher was really cool about it. Like he just kind of was like, I don't think you know this. And then, and I backed him up too. Like I was like, no, like that's a spy. And he's like, no, it's there's more to it than that. And so sometimes like I do think there's a lot of different things out there, words, phrases, terms where people don't know that there's an alternate meaning to them.
Okay.
So I do want to be like a little bit fair, try to be fair. Like there's a type of dumpster. There's two types of dumpsters that you can get. Like there's tall dumpsters and slanted dumpsters, and they just call them slants. And
see, if we weren't talking about racial slurs right now, I would not register that as a racial slur.
Yeah.
The only reason I registered it is because that's our conversation right now.
Yeah. I used to sell dumpsters. So,
Okay.
and I would be extremely careful when I would use that. And I was like, I would say, but people would ask me all the time because like that's also the correct termage is that. So I would always like be careful. I'd be like, and part of that was just because like I was aware of it, but there's a band that calls themselves that too. And I don't know if you've heard about this band, but this band actually had to petition the Supreme Court to be able to use that name because they're Asian Americans and they wanted to use that specific
taking
name.
the power back and all
that. Taking the word back. But I'm curious on like how their white fans talk about them because like I'm uncomfortable with saying that word.
Yeah. That's so funny. I don't know.
Yeah, because because when like people order like 6-yard dumpsters that are slanted, they might just say a 6-yard slant, and then all of a sudden, like I know what they mean. I know they're not doing anything wrong, but I can see where that would be. So I just
Could
so
get
I
you in trouble.
yeah, and then
Okay.
there's obviously like especially with like that word, there's terms that you can use with the word that Billie Eilish mouthed that
Oh
are actually
yeah.
okay ways of saying that specific word.
Yeah, there was a sports reporter who
On Jeremy Lin, I remember this.
I don't know how to tell this story. So basically, there's a well-known phrase called chink in the armor, with the idea of that means your armor is cracked
or there's a weakness in it.
There's a weakness in your armor. And there was a sports reporter when Jeremy Lin first, like, because there was a year of Lin sanity where Jeremy Lin was
blew up for the Knicks,
but he was also destroying people. I don't know what happened, but he was doing so good. And at this point, other than Yao Ming, there had never been, I'm sure there had been other Asian players, but there had never been an Asian player in the spotlight
that
other
dominant.
than Yao Ming. Yeah. And Yao Ming, if you don't remember, was very kind of he was like Tim Duncan. He wasn't fun to watch. He was good, but he didn't do anything crazy that got you pumped. Jeremy Lin was fast and quick and would break people down. He could dunk, and he was exciting to watch. And so Lin sanity blew up. And someone after Jeremy Lin led them to beat a team, and I don't remember which team, but let's just say it was the Nets. And it says Nets have a blank in the armor. And that person got fired. And that kind of goes, and he said, I did not mean it intentionally. And so with that, for me, I go, what's the likelihood that he didn't? It's just not, it's a common phrase, but it's not a common enough phrase. I've never seen that phrase used in sport except that one time. Also, I guess I wouldn't realize if I saw it used in sports if it wasn't a main headline across the nation. But to me, it just kind of goes, what's the likelihood he's telling the truth that he didn't actually do this on purpose? And I go, I just don't believe it.
So that's one where it's impossible to, like, I'm trying to be more less judgmental in my later years. So like I want to be like, I do want to give you the benefit of the doubt. That specific one just kind of was like, really? Like that's like one of those things that like even if you didn't intend it, you should have noticed it.
And it's also, to be fair, he got fired, and I think everyone should have gotten fired. If he's going to claim I did not know, then I think you could still fire him for incompetence of you should have known, but then the editor should have gotten fired. Whoever approved the headline should have gotten fired.
Because for me, like maybe it's like one of those things where I'm like they're like, get your mind out of the gutter. But like for me, that's something that I would have been like, did really? Like if it was a racial slur that I never heard of, like earlier, like the words, some of the words that we were talking about, maybe, but sure. There's no way that you haven't heard that one. Like as a writer, like as a well-versed, like
as an adult,
yeah. Like we all live on the same planet. Like you didn't grow up in like a different planet that word didn't exist, and you didn't hear your drunk uncle say that at like a family picnic multiple times.
Yeah. And unfortunately there are just, but that goes back to the other sad thing about we're evolving as people. I really believe that. And so I do think just Asian hate, and this is so sad to admit, but I think Asian hate has just been tolerated for a long time. And so, I mean, I've heard a lot of, hateful Asian words and they were in Vietnam, and there's all kinds of terrible words out there. And I'm glad to see, and I'm sure I've said some of the terrible words. I'm not, but I'm hoping that
being the guy that's throwing no stones.
Yeah, I'm glad that we are growing. I'm glad that I am growing. And I think that's what we have to see all this as growth. But I think we should also give people room to grow. I think if Billie Eilish came out and said, I was 13, I thought it, I knew it was a racial slur, but that at the time is what made it funny to me because I was a dumb 13-year-old. I think we should still show her forgiveness because we were all stupid 13-year-olds at some point.
Yeah, I was 13 is good enough excuse to get away with the murder sometimes.
Legally.
Yeah, it's dude, I was 13. I didn't know. It
also goes it's hard for a 13-year-old to understand these are people. I don't think I knew any Asian people when I was 13. I grew up in Midland, Texas. We didn't have a lot of Asian people. And so it's hard and empathy is a developing trait. And so it's hard to understand that this word is hurtful to someone who's not here and will never actually hear me say it. I just think we should be forgiving of I was 13. I knew it was a racial slur, but I thought it was funny and I was wrong because we're allowing people to grow, but also people aren't actually growing if they're lying. If I knew what that word meant and I used it, then said I did not know what it meant, I'm not actually apologizing or growing. I am trying to get out of hot water. And I'm not saying that's what Billie Eilish is doing, but I do think we should spare some room for the I was 13 and a dumbass clause. I'm also very white. So maybe maybe we're not the best to comment.
Well, yeah, no, the only thing that I think that we're qualified to comment was is we were both dumb 13-year-olds at one point.
Very dumb 13-year-olds. And I would be mortified if stuff that I said when I was 13 became public somehow. Luckily, we did not live in the age we do now to where everything was filmed. But if you could find everything I ever said at 13, I would be in my room weeping right now, probably, because my life would be over. And I'm not saying that to say what I said when I was 13 was okay. It's just I've grown. I'm a person who is growing and learning to this day. Let's move on to something funny. Why don't we start with
we started with that because I want views.
That's fair.
Also, so I was going to do a giveaway. Like and subscribe, by the way, if you guys are listening. I was going to do a giveaway because I want to give a troll comment to my favorite troll comment. You are going to get an antique 1990s troll doll.
Ooh.
The problem is I don't know where it is.
But he will find it.
I will find it. And sometime in the next 2 weeks, any of our videos you like, share, subscribe. Well, you don't have to share because we have no way of knowing if you share it. But if you like it or subscribe, you have a chance at winning this antique's not the right word for it. Piece of shit, but really cool 1980s robot troll doll. I have no idea where it is.
But we will find it.
Yeah, we'll find it and I will get it to you.
I love that. Can we do a giveaway every week?
Yes.
It doesn't have to be good. I will also add on that. I will give away this shot of moonshine that tastes like gasoline because I just want to get rid of it. So we will send you a troll doll and I will give you this shot of Old Smoky Moonshine, which will make you throw up immediately. So
assuming you're 21 or over.
Like and subscribe if you're 21 and over. If you're 20, get the fuck out of here. We don't like you.
We don't like 20-year-olds. Speaking of which, I am when we were talking about concerts earlier, I was going to tell you, I'm getting my sister who's turning 21 these really expensive, really nice concert tickets. And in my head, I'm like, that's going to be so loud.
Are you going with her?
Yeah. She wants me to go with her. She's like, I want you to go with me because I got her 2 tickets and I was like, you take one of your little friends. And then she's like, no, you should come with me. And I was like, all right, I'll get 3 tickets. And now I'm like, no, wait, now I'm going to be there with 2 20-year-old girls and just me.
Hopefully 2 21-year-old girls, but then it's still, no, actually, I don't know because if they're both 21, you're probably babysitting two people. Like you're babysitting your sister that night.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna be like watching people like, did that guy just buy you drinks? Yeah, and you let him walk over him with him. I'm taking a sip out of both these. Now watch my eyes. Anything happens, that guy's a jerk.
Gee, yeah, it's so terrifying being a woman. We're gonna get on to funny subjects.
Funny subjects. All right, you pick the next one.
I really want to do the Batman one because I think it's so funny. Do you want to explain it or do you want me to explain it?
Please start us off, Corey.
So there is a Batman animated series. It's actually called Harley Quinn. It focuses on Harley Quinn and it's rated R and it's on HBO Max. So basically they've gotten away with a lot of stuff in there. And they had an interview with the creator and he said, there's one thing they did not let us do. And he explained that at some point they had a scene in this animated TV show where Batman performs oral sex on Catwoman. And HBO or DC, I forgot who.
DC, not you think HBO is going to be the one that?
Yeah, that's true. Good point. So DC said, we're not going to allow that. And the reason they gave, I'm not mad at them for not allowing it. I'm so mad at the reason they gave. The reason they said that they were not going to allow that is because superheroes or heroes, they didn't even say super, they said heroes don't do that. So heroes do not go down on ladies.
Not all heroes wear capes.
First of all, my girlfriend disagrees.
Yeah.
That's... I'm really not mad that they wouldn't show it. Even though if they did show it, I would watch it because I'm probably a pervert. But I'm not mad they didn't show it. That's the worst excuse in the world. I hope it was just bad PR and they did not say it correctly. But heroes don't do that is so stupid. Because then you get down to Batman has two things he won't do. He won't kill people and he won't eat pussy. And I don't like those two things being the two things you won't do.
I just don't think that the man without fear doesn't go down, man.
He's a billionaire philanthropist. He's giving. He's a giver. You think he gives away billions of dollars, but he won't give away some head?
No, like that's like right in his wheelhouse. There's been so much made about this that like Zack Snyder like made a tweet of like Batman and a very what's the word I'm looking for? View of
oh yeah. The cartoon version.
Yeah.
And he's clearly going down on Catwoman. How do you not go down on someone named Catwoman?
You don't. Like if she's willing and you're willing, like yeah, that's a match made in DC heaven. So
I do like the idea of Batman being scared of nothing except licking a vagina.
Yeah. Real men and then just Batman. It's like over here, like not doing it. It's like I remember in my I remember in my younger days being like, that doesn't seem like that'd be right. And then like
it's so right.
Yes.
I do remember being like 12 and 13. Here's the thing. I think it's a weird masculinity issue. Because I remember when I was 12 and 13, and this is so disgusting now that I'm looking back on it, but being in like middle school and kids whose balls haven't dropped being like, I'll never eat pussy. And it's like, dude, you haven't seen a vagina that wasn't a diagram yet, you know? But yeah, girl can suck my dick, but I'm not gonna eat that pussy. And it's just like with their high pitch, their balls haven't dropped, their voice hasn't gotten deep yet. But I'll tell you, once people actually started having sex, I never heard that again. Except from who was the? Do you remember the rapper?
DJ Khaled said that.
DJ Khaled was like, I don't go. Shut up, dude. No one cares.
Return the favor.
I will say the only thing that makes this believable is Batman's a billionaire, so maybe he can get away with it.
He like as Philip Franco said, like he has handlebars right there.
You just grab the bat ears and you just push it down there.
Yeah, no, like you're like
yeah, the dude who dresses up in all black and goes out only at night and has a bunch of like whips and metal toys. You're gonna tell me he doesn't go down on people? He is the kinkiest dude you know.
yeah, like everything, like the Bat Cave just sounds like a metaphor for.
I also really believe that a lot of like your sexual identity is almost an opposite of you. To where I think this is no basis.
This is not scientific.
This has no scientific research, but I've talked about this with a lot of people. I think people who are in control a lot and in charge a lot in the bedroom, a lot of times enjoy not being in control or in charge.
Yeah.
Actually, where this came from is I had a friend who was made a living being a dominatrix in New York. And she said almost all of her clients were these hedge fund managers who were big deals. And basically they would pay her a lot of money to pee on them, kick them in the balls. Someone paid her money to shit on them, but she said she couldn't do it. But they were always these big businessmen, which now I understand the correlation might be, well, because they could also afford it. But I do kind of think when you're in charge and you feel like everyone listens to you, it might be kind of nice to go, now I'm the one who gets pushed around a little. So not only I could see Batman being a sub. I could see him being submissive in the bedroom.
Yeah.
DC, take note.
Yeah, no, like it makes sense. Like on that like small amount of science that you've done, like your scientific studies. I'm sure that yeah. I also love like those like late night conversations in a bar where like everybody's like expert in their field.
Yeah, I'm bad about that. I think I know everything.
Yeah. I've been those places before too. It was like, oh, let me tell you something about marine biology that you guys don't know.
I just don't like they said heroes don't do that. I actually can buy, but none of your heroes go down. None of them. Flash is the fastest man in the world, and he doesn't go down to make it last a little bit longer. Absolutely not.
No, he's there all day.
Your heroes are going down on people because they're heroes.
Yes,
Do you
100%.
think we can agree that firefighters are heroes?
Yes,
Right?
right.
I bet firefighters go down on their girlfriends and their wives
All day, every day.
because they're heroes and they deserve more money. Not for going down on their girls, but
Yeah.
or their guys. They're
Like,
also
and-
fire women. They're also gay firemen. I
Yeah.
bet they all give great head. I bet firemen give the best head. I don't know where that's coming from, but I'm standing by it.
I think there's science there. So, all right. This actually is a good segue to the next story on the list. A city councilman was found in a BDSM video.
I love this story.
Okay.
Okay, because not only was he found, this is what I'm proud of, and this is what I want more people doing. That video was released, and you know what most politicians would have done is they would have said that wasn't me. And this
Or
dude's like,
apologize.
yeah, this dude didn't apologize. He didn't say that wasn't me. He was just like, yeah, that's me. And he said, but I'm still better than the other guy. You shouldn't worry about what I'm doing in the bedroom or for fun. It's not immoral if two people are consenting, which I agree with.
100%.
If two adults agreed to do this,
Yes.
why is it any of your damn business? I'm really good at this job. I was so proud. This dude's like 27 years old, and he did not apologize. He's just like, yeah, I enjoyed it. She enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and I'm still better at politics than this other guy. I love that. Who cares if the president's getting kicked in the balls for fun? Is he good? Is he good at presidenting? Then
Yeah.
let him do it. It's
Here's the thing. I like this on multiple levels. First, I like it that you shouldn't have to apologize for something that's like really he's actually the victim here. Like they shouldn't be
Yes.
showing his private shit, right?
Absolutely.
Second, so he doesn't apologize. He's like I'm better than the other guy. If you're gonna vote for me, vote because you like my policies or you don't like my policies, not because of what I'm into. But like the other thing is, other politicians, you would own them if you had that video.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you had like a video of like some stuffed shirt politician, whatever, doesn't matter, doesn't even really matter the party, doing something that he found embarrassing that could lose him an election, all of a sudden like you're getting a vote, like the right people have that, you're getting a vote when I can't think of a good example, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like you all of a sudden own a politician, like you don't even have to buy them, you just own them.
Yeah,
And-
yeah. You blackmail them, it's yours now.
Yeah.
And he did not let that happen. And he shouldn't, because here's the thing. All sex is weird.
Yeah.
The missionary sex is weird. Every type of sex you do is weird. I take the weirdest part of my body and I put it in a pretty weird part of your body, a part that I love, but like honestly, it's a
Not
weird
my
part.
specifically body, not specifically my body.
Not necessarily Andrew's body, but you know, he's
I
lonely.
mean, there'd be nothing wrong with it if that's our business.
But it's like all sex is weird. But it's all sex is not weird.
Mhm.
And it's just we have a lot of shame in America regarding sex. I have a lot of it. But it's just good for him. Good for him. I the only thing I wish he would have done more is I wish he would have explained it bit by bit. I wish he would have been like, I cannot show you the video, but I can tell you what happened. So she got a cage. We had to buy it off Amazon because it's hard to find a cage that's designed for a penis, but it's a cage designed specifically for my penis, so I cannot get erect, which is very strange to some people. But the fact that I cannot get erect actually turns me on and makes me want to get more erect. It's a whoopsie doozy. And then she pegged me in the asshole. And it was amazing because God put a pleasure button back there. Because it's just leave him alone. Let the dude come, man.
Yeah, those of you guys that don't understand geometry won't understand this. But the next part is like, well, now this is a whip and these are called pegs. And so much like everything. First off, I've been to the darker part of the internet where I've seen people that enjoy that stuff. It's not necessarily for me, but I think to each their own. Like, let your freak flag fly.
I'm gonna go no comment because my parents might listen to this, but dude, do you have some fun? It doesn't matter, man. It just people's sex life is not your damn business. As long as it's consensual. Once it's not consensual, then it's
Well,
then we should,
as long as it's consensual with adults, yes,
consensual with adults. I don't consider sex with minors consensual because their frontal brain.
Yeah, they don't know how to consent. Yes,
but
the only reason I say that is just so people don't like get weird on us in the comments.
Sure. If it's consenting adults, let them do whatever the hell they want. It's none of your damn business unless you're trying to join. People's sex life is not your business unless you want to be a part of it.
Yeah,
that's why I don't understand why people don't like gay people. It's the only reason that I've ever been disappointed someone's gay is when it's a lesbian and I'm like, because I was so into you and you're not going to be into me. It's none of your business unless you're trying to have sex with them.
Yeah.
Unless you're trying to, I'm actually going to say the politician's name. Unless you are trying to have sex with my hero, Zach. I'm sorry.
Wiener.
Zach Wiener.
Yeah.
It's not Zach Wiener. And then it's him. And this kid is 26. And there's pictures of leather handcuffs. That's a lot of balls for a 26-year-old. I really am. I'm so proud of him. At 26, as not an important person, if someone found a BDSM video of me, I would have cried. And I'm not ashamed. Yeah, I like BDSM. Good for him. Hell yeah, Zach Wiener. You're crushing it. I don't live in New York, but if I did, I would vote for you. I don't even know your policies. You might hate hate women.
You might hate all bald people.
Yeah, you might be severely racist. So maybe I should not say I'd vote for him. But I doubt. Here's the other thing is I don't know. This is bias, but if someone is just sexually free, I don't assume they're racist.
Well,
no science to back that up.
Yeah. Well,
I don't imagine anyone getting pegged by their lady and then going to a Klan rally.
See, I actually don't know. I've heard like a lot of like weird sexual kinks with like a lot of really bad people.
Oh, don't ruin pegging for me. Don't do it.
So, yeah, no, like, there's like this, it was in my sociology class. One of my teachers was talking about it. So I don't remember exactly what the source is, but they were saying that like a lot of like Nazis were very, I don't want to say sexually weird, but like,
sexually explorative.
Yeah.
In a way that they would consider weird.
Well, definitely weird by that day's standards. Well,
yes.
Also odd by these standards, but yeah, like I've heard about enough things to where I'm like, I guess nothing's weird.
Sexually rare? Is sexually rare a fair enough word?
Yeah, I guess rare. Rare's not gonna.
I think rare sounds nice.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's like a unicorn.
I'm into rare sex.
Yeah, I'm into unicorn stuff. All right. So I'm looking forward to my aunts listening to this, which is 80% of our viewership.
Are we going to Ask Andy?
Ask Andy, yeah. DoorDash. Yeah. Let's do the Ask Andy.
Okay, this is actually for Ask Amy, I believe, but we call it Ask Andy. So here it is. I have two boys, 11 and 12 years old. The 11-year-old is still my precious baby, but the 12-year-old has gone full teenager. He hasn't gotten completely hormonal yet, but he will spend hours alone in his room. He says he is just playing Xbox, but what used to be obnoxiously loud is now eerily silent. His father and I know exactly what he is doing, but we are at odds as to how to deal with it. I know that boys go through a period of self-discovery, so to speak. Anytime we try to get him out of his room for family movie night, to say hello to company, or even dinner, we are met with agitation and impatience. His father believes it is just a phase and that we should ignore it, but I am worried that it will grow out of control. We have already had the talk, but I don't know how to progress any further. Do you have any suggestions? I like this one.
Yeah. So, as the mom especially, don't directly address it. You're gonna mess him up.
Well, here's my favorite line is, well, one, they say we know exactly what he's doing, and since we are not a newspaper and we can say whatever the hell we want, dude's jerking off, which is fine.
Yeah, he's a kid. He's a teenager.
Anytime we try to get him out of his room for family movie night, we are met with agitation. Yeah, you can't interrupt someone jerking off and be like, do you want to watch The Grinch?
Yeah, like the greatest thing ever for, Jim Carrey and makeup.
But it's just, he doesn't want to come to family movie night if he's in the middle of masturbating.
Yeah, I think your problem is he needs to, you just got to teach him to be quicker. No.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know. I don't have kids. But I honestly, this goes back to not having sexual shame, is just going like, I think you have to have one weird conversation and be like, look, man, here's the deal. With the dad, I would not do it with the mom.
Yeah, mom's dad.
If dad's around, I think dad should be like, look, dude, masturbating is very normal. Everyone does it. At least all boys definitely do it. It's very normal. Honestly, it's healthy for you. But you also can't be a douchebag. So if we knock on your door and we say, hey, we're going to watch The Grinch and you're busy, You don't have to be a jerk. Just be like, I'll be down there later. You finish your job and then come join us and hang out after you've washed up and you no longer feel like crap. But I don't like this thing of making kids feel bad about masturbating, because your kids, especially if it's a boy, your kid is gonna masturbate, and it's healthy. There are scientific studies that show masturbating is healthy for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, actually, it's good for your prostate. Like,
Mhm.
forgetting like mental health and stuff like that. It's good for your prostate. It's good just for your body in general.
I think porn is dangerous. Not to say I've never watched porn or that I stopped watching porn, but I do think if I had a kid who was watching porn, that would be a conversation. That'd be a different conversation.
Yeah. Well, that's the stuff that kids are growing up with now versus the stuff that like we grew up with.
Yeah.
Like, I remember like awkwardly buying Maxim magazines, or, you know, stealing my neighbor's Victoria's Secret catalog.
Yeah, it's a different world. It's so crazy. But the thing is, I think you have to have these conversations with your kid. And this is coming as someone who teaches 7th grade. I think you have to have these conversations with your kid and know, hey, I do think you should at least have the conversation of like, hey, porn's not realistic.
Yeah.
It is made for men to watch. Please, whenever you reach that age, do not go in and try to jackhammer somebody to death with your penis. I think a lot of it may feel awkward, but I don't even know if it's awkward if you just start from the beginning and being like, we're going to be open. We're going to talk about stuff and be like, you know what? I'd rather you not watch porn because I think it sets an unrealistic standard for what sex is going to be like. And I think it can devalue women in your eyes. But I also know that you are surrounded by porn, unfortunately. So if you watch it, I'm not mad at you. I just want you to know that's not realistic. And then have the conversation about, hey, when can you absolutely not watch that? Because I've caught so many kids watching porn in my class. But it's also, I don't know. Is it that these kids are allowed to watch porn at home? And so they go, well, here I am, like, I'm allowed to watch at home. Might as well, get a little jerk off session in the middle of English class. Or is it I'm not allowed to watch it at home? I'd rather risk my teacher catching me than my mom catching me. I don't know what it is, but it kind of goes, having a conversation with your kid. Here's your sexuality. Here's masturbation. Here's porn. Here are my thoughts on them and what I think you should know. And figure it out, kid. Because they're going to figure it out anyway.
Yeah.
Even if you put a 13-year-old boy at the age of 10, you put him in a room by himself and never let him see anyone else in the world, he's going to learn how to jerk off. Yeah. It's going to happen.
Yeah. So I think you're right about that. I think that it's a natural thing. I think that you're on point on everything like that. I do think that porn is a bit of a problem. I agree. The unrealistic expectations, that's just something that everything, like the whole world, is unrealistic expectations.
But I think it would help to know it's unrealistic. Because I think when I started watching porn, I was not like, because I think if you say that to a kid, they're not going to completely realize it. But even if if you're my kid and I let you start watching wrestling and I go, just so you know, this is all fake, and if they really did that in real life, people would get seriously injured. You might go, kind of bullshit, I don't believe you, but you've heard it at least.
Yeah, so you're not surprised when you break your friend's neck.
Yeah, and when you reach a certain age, you go, oh, my dad told me that, and I'm starting to see what he means. So I think if you tell a 13-year-old this is unrealistic, this is not how real sex is, I don't want you to get the wrong idea. They're not going to be like, oh, okay.
It can be,
Well,
but you have
teach
to
me
find
about the
right person.
clitoris. But I think it does kind of open the idea where they just kind of start noticing things, go like, oh yeah, that doesn't seem right. And then whenever they do reach the age of having sex, they're not treating women like shit. Like, I've heard of people to where it's like, well, I lost my virginity to this guy who lost my virginity. Like, we both lost our virginity at the same time, and he was trying to make me deep throat him. And it's like, you can't deep throat a penis on your first go round. That's not how it works. These are professionals. It's so insane.
These are professionals.
No, they are
pros.
professionals. They do this for a fucking living.
No, you're right.
Can you imagine watching LeBron James jump over a man, push another man to the ground, and then dunk, and being like, the first time I touch a basketball, I'm going to do that. But because we don't explain this to kids, like, there are like kids who are 16, 17, 18 having sex for the first time and pushing a poor 16, 17, 18-year-old girl's head down on their dick. And it's like, not only is that uncomfortable, it's fucked up.
Yeah, no, that's something that you need. That the two things I think you need
to do that.
Yeah, permission. Like, you need very strong communication, because, like, don't get me wrong, like, there's going to be misunderstandings in the bedroom.
Yes,
you just need to have like that open forum to where you'd be like, oh, what are we doing? I don't like that. Get your finger out of there. Like,
but it should be like, hey, there are things like, I also think maybe doing this with your kids, one, I might be completely wrong. Maybe it fucks your kids up, but just being like, hey, you can talk about sex. It's going to be a little weird, maybe, but you can talk about sex. And then that opens up to like, well, now I'm in a sexual relationship and I feel like I can talk about sex. And, if you have a daughter and you've talked about sex openly, hopefully if she's with someone and they have sex and she goes, talking about sex isn't weird, we do it. She can go, hey, you pushed my mouth on your penis and it hurt and I didn't like it. Don't do that again.
Yeah.
I just think, I guess what my goal is to make sex less of a taboo of we can't talk about it.
I agree with that, but at the same time, if it's your mom, yeah, definitely don't. I still, like, my mom's actually in the room. There's, if you listen closely, there's words that I'm very deliberately not saying, so she doesn't know what we're talking about.
I'm so sorry.
No, because I still am uncomfortable. Like, with my dad, I'm actually a little bit more comfortable talking about sex, but like, even then, like, I don't have like such a relationship with him that I can talk to him about like everything. And my mom, it's not even close. Like, one time, like, I was talking to my mom about a girl that I was dating, and my mom like had asked me like, well, like, are things like progressing? And like, I was like, I don't, what? And then she's like, well, like, if you plan on marrying this girl, like, do you? And I was like, what do you want to know, Mom? Like, this conversation is getting weird. Like, I just refused to, like, I just started like dodging all of her questions, because it was like, all these questions seem way loaded.
Yeah, it's
like, just you assume what you think's going on. That's probably what's going on, and then we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, my parents have a weird thing to where they definitely know I'm not a virgin, but they still want to think I'm a virgin. It's a weird kind of suspension of disbelief for parents, with some parents for their kids. So I get what you're saying.
I had that with my little sister, like, when she had a boyfriend, and like, she had a boyfriend for like a really long time. And I was like, pretty sure, I was like, I just don't want to know. And then like, I found out that he stayed at my other sister's house while she was staying there, and I was like, oh no. Like, in my head, I was like, I know, but I was like, at the same time, I was like, that's my little sister. That's my little baby. I'm just gonna pretend like it's not. So
yeah, I don't know. I think I've gotten over that thing with my family members having sex. I don't want to think about it, but it's like if someone's like, your parents have had sex, I'm like, yeah, they have, and I hope they're still doing it.
oh yeah, I was
Because
more
I hope
power.
my parents are my parents are still together, and I hope they're super happy. And I think a big part of a super happy relationship is having sex. So I hope my parents are doing it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to hear it
I want to think about it. Tell me more.
about my parents.
Yeah,
I
hope
have
your
I do
mom
have hot parents.
is
Oh
getting
god,
plowed.
there's no way my mom's made it this far in. I talked about deep throating. My mom definitely closed it out at deep throating. I hope to God she did. Or
Yeah,
you know what? Actually, it doesn't matter because she'll never talk to me about it. It's not like she'll be like, I listened to that podcast.
And
So
you know what? Now, like,
you know what, Mom? If you're still listening, next time you see me, I want you to say pineapple Pinocchio, and I'll know that you know, and it'll be great. Let's do that. That's our code word.
yeah. So when I went to Vegas, I don't know if I told you about this. I went to Vegas and I thought I was hitting on a girl, and she turned out to be like a hooker. Did I
Okay.
ever tell you about this? Okay. So I was talking to this beautiful girl, and this is a true story. So like we were at this club called the Light Nightclub, and there were these two really pretty girls. The other girl was talking to another guy on the other side. I didn't get his name, but he looked like a John. And that's a good joke that nobody gets. Anyway, but I started chatting with this very, very pretty Venezuelan girl, like beautiful green eyes, and I thought that I was just like killing it and stuff like that. Like I was like, oh dude, I'm hysterical right now. And I bought her a drink that cost $38 or whatever. And it wasn't that much, but it was that much.
No, I believe it. I've bought some expensive drinks in Vegas.
Yeah. And then so I was like, well, we have it. And so she's like, getting close to me. Like I was like, oh damn, dude, like I am killing it right now. This shit's happening. And then I was like, well, we have a table over here if you want to come hang out. And I was like, also at the table we get free drinks. So like we have multiple bottles. So she's like, yeah. And then she just starts telling me her rates. and she was like super, and I was like, oh, I also felt like ugly too. Like I was like, no, of course not. Like a 10 wasn't gonna be talking to me. What am I thinking?
No, you're good looking. You're charming. Don't do that to yourself. You're not allowed to do that to yourself here.
Okay.
You're good luck. You're good looking. You're charming.
Thank you, Corey.
No, you are. You look like shit. Like if you were like, this was right after my shark attack, I'd be like, yeah, you looked ugly as hell. But you're a good looking dude. You're charming. You know, she's doing her damn job and she's good at it. Good for her.
Yeah.
You get a 10.
Yeah, no, maybe like
you're not a 10, but you can get a 10.
Like if we had,
you know what?
If I bought $70 more worth of drinks.
Now, right in here, that heart's a 10, Andrew.
Thank you. That really means a lot. But so I told that story to like my cousin, and then like he around my mom was like, hey, did you tell your mom the story about you picking up a hooker? And I was like,
what a dick.
Well, see, the thing is though, like there's no way to like tell that story. So like I was like, and mom's like, I don't want to hear it. And I was like, no, now you have to hear it, because otherwise what you're gonna think is so much worse than what actually happened.
Yeah. So you have to tell the story, but you have to change the story a little bit. Like, and then I fell in love, but then that kind of makes you, I don't know why wanting to have sex with a hooker seems not as sad as falling in love with a hooker, but it doesn't.
Well, she didn't give me her real number, so like I don't know how to get a hold of her now.
Yeah.
But if you're out there,
that's bad business. That's bad business on her part.
Anna Lucia, if you're out there.
Anna Lucia. That's a hot name.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. But yeah, it was also like, I don't know, like, but maybe it's just because like I have like, I don't know, I have a fragile ego anyway, but that was such a kick to the ego. I was like,
fair.
Like I was like, I am nailing it. Oh, anybody that walked up to this girl right here would have done just as well as me.
I don't think that should be a hit to your ego. I get why it was, because your ego was getting inflated, and then you realized it shouldn't have been. But I don't think that should be a hit to your ego.
Yeah.
We gonna do one more story and then some comedy?
Sure. We'll do one more story. This is a story actually. This is the one I wanted to do, and I kept on meaning to read it, and I forgot to read it. Oh wait, we can do the Ben Zobra story.
Okay, the lawsuit story.
Yeah.
Okay. So headline.
By the way, I called Ben Zobrist in the minor leagues. I knew that guy was going to be good.
All right. So here's the headline: lawsuit. Former MLB star Ben Zobrist says wife had affair with their pastor, sues him for millions. So he's suing a pastor, which probably not the best move.
What's a man of God be messing around with your wife? What's going on here?
Here's my thing: is do you think you're getting justice, buddy? The Catholic men of God have a reputation of getting away with sexual exploits. Yeah, and as far as their list goes, this one's not that bad.
Well, yeah, as far as like some of the other more, this one's not something that I think that anybody should be like, but like also, so he paused his season and like left the Cubs to go deal with like whatever is going on with his wife, and he's saying the guy owes him $6 million, and also was like defrauding his charity. All that aside, yeah, like I don't think that you shouldn't owe money for. Hold on one second. Let me Oh yeah. Oh, also his wife is a contemporary Christian singer. So
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and then so she was cheating with this guy. His last name is Jan, which is a great last name for a pastor, Pastor Jan. Yeah. But he was being paid hourly to work for his thing for the charity, and then got a salary of $36,000 according to the lawsuit. And then he alleged that he got the position just so he could work close with the dude's wife. So yeah, like all that adds up as like regular shady cheating stuff. Like they had to burn her cell phone, all that stuff.
Yeah.
The thing that I don't get is like, how do you think that the guy owes you money just because like you left your job? Like baseball, like anybody else, like if their wife's cheating, they don't get to leave their job and then sue the guy.
Yes, exactly what I was thinking. Because I understand his reasoning. I disagree with it, but his reasoning is that I had to work this out with my wife, which caused me to leave my job early, which cost me $6 million or whatever. But the thing is, you gotta handle that. If I get cheated on, I have to keep working because I'm not a millionaire. Like, I'm sorry, your wife cheated on you. He looks like a handsome dude.
Like, to be honest, he's really handsome. Like if I met him in Club Light and he bought me a beer, I wouldn't tell him my rates. I would just go with him.
He's a handsome, rich man. Your wife cheated on you. That sucks. And you know what? I'm even down with being petty and just being like, you know what? I'm going to make this news that this pastor is sleeping with my wife and ruin his life. That's fine. Be petty. You're not going to win this $6 million lawsuit.
Yeah.
It makes you look like a loser.
Yeah. I kind of, okay, I agree with you on that. Like I've been on that end on like, having someone like cheat on me and stuff like that. And first off, it was great for me because like I was looking for like a reason to break up with a girl anyway.
Sure.
I was like, oh, I don't have to feel bad now. This is great. But at the same time, like even if like you wanted out of the relationship, you still are like, fuck that dude though.
Really, I don't have that. I've never had. I've been cheated on. I've been I've been cheated on. I was not mad at the dude when I got cheated on.
I wasn't mad one time when I was cheating. I wasn't mad at the dude because like the dude had no idea who I was. So I was like, why am I mad at you?
Okay, I didn't know the guy either. You had a time you were cheated on. You knew the guy.
Yeah, if I know the
that's
guy,
a different story.
Yeah. So go on.
I was just gonna say, here's my thing with cheating: is the reason I think cheating is so bad is because you promised me. Basically, we had an unofficial promise that you were not going to sleep with other people. Because if you start dating somebody, unless y'all have a conversation where you explicitly say, hey, we're still allowed to have sex with other people, the social rule is you have agreed not to sleep with other people. So someone cheating on me, to me, says it's not even about like I feel like I'm not good enough. It just goes, hey, you were willing to trade my happiness and my honestly mental health and feeling like, am I good enough? You're willing to trade all that away for what? One time having sex? And so you value my happiness and my mental health lower than you do hooking up with somebody. And that's what upsets me. So when I got cheated on, I was upset with the person who cheated on me because I thought it was selfish.
Oh, it always is. Like,
but but the dude, I was just like, yeah, I want to have sex with her too. Like, I don't blame you for wanting the same thing I want. And
my problem is like, don't smile at me. Don't be my buddy between the scenes.
Well, so that goes back. I didn't know the guy, but if you know the person, it goes, okay, we're friends.
Yeah.
And once again, as my friend, you should value my happiness and mental health more than you should value getting to come. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've never had the friend thing. I agree with you there. But if it's not a friend, I'm never mad at the dude. It's just like I'm mad at the person who cheated on me, being like, you're being selfish. You hurt me for.
Oh, yeah. One time, I actually had a friend that was like actively trying to get one of my chicks one time. Yeah, no. And it was like she was showing me the text messages he was sending her. And like I worked really closely with this guy and I was like, God damn it. And like it was pissed me off that I just had to address it. Like I wasn't worried or anything. I just like, damn it, I have to fucking talk to him now. I was like,
because that's God, maybe this is just a insecure masculinity thing, but it's like that's just disrespectful to me.
Yeah.
It's disrespectful to me, it's disrespectful to her, and I'm gonna bring it up. Like,
yeah. But funny story. Either Angelica, if you're listening to this. So I was dating a girl named Angelica. And then one of my coworkers, her name was Angelica. And so there was like this big rumor that I was dating that chick. But anyway, I was dating the wrong Angelica, which was fine because I wasn't allowed to date the Angelica that I was actually dating.
Okay.
Because of our positions at work. So anyway, the guy that was like hitting on her was actually dating the other Angelica at that time as well. So he was hitting on my Angelica and he had his own Angelica. It's like, what a dick. It's like, you don't get, it's like if there's only like three donuts, you don't get to eat one and lick another, you dick. But thank you, Donald Glover. Anyway, so yeah, so like he was doing that, and then Angelica, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry, but people don't know which one you are, so it's fine. So that guy, he actually had a baby with that girl, and then just ran away, like literally ran out the window and ran away. He was such a prick. God. And I knew he was a dick from like day one. I just like had to, like, him and I worked well together, like he was professional and shit. But dude, I knew this guy was like a shady dick the whole time. But like the thing is, like don't smile at me and like be like all like cool. Meanwhile, like you're trying to screw me over. Like,
yeah.
Like that's like when I think you're really a bad person. It's like, because like if like I do something that I think might have like been shitty to somebody else, like I'll feel bad about it. Like I'll feel bad about it enough to where like I'll want to say something to them. Like it will bother me. Like it will affect my personality. But like if you're like the same like happy-go-lucky person, like that tells me something about you.
Yeah. This is also I guess I'm starting to rethink my thoughts on Zobrist, because you know what? He probably did feel like he could trust his pastor. I think when you bring sex into religion, or at least religious positions of religious power, it gets really weird, because you claim to be someone speaking from God.
Yeah, you claim to be like closer to the big guy, so people think that so they give your words more value. That's something that bothers me too. Is like people that misuse that power. As somebody that I would consider as a religious person, I hate it when like people like misuse that stuff.
Well, because it's powerful. I mean, when I was a kid, I was taught that my pastor and my youth pastor, that God was speaking through them. And so when you really look at all the terrible shit, like with the Catholic Church, and I don't want to just blame it on the Catholic Church, because there was also a lot of this with the Southern Baptist Union.
Well, like, but if you name the religion, most religions you can name like a few atrocities that go along with those religions.
Yes. So I just don't want to be the stereotypical, I'm blaming this all on the Catholic Church. I grew up Baptist. This is also a big problem in the Baptist Church. But the thing is, if you tell 7-year-old me, if I've spent my entire life being told by my parents that this man speaks to God, and then you take 7-year-old me and you're a man that I believe speaks to God, and you tell me to take my clothes off, that's almost the same as God telling you to take your clothes off, you know? And this is a different story because they're adults, but it's still, once you throw religion into the mix, it's real fucked up.
I don't accuse the pastor of doing that. It was obviously an adult woman. It was, but yeah, like that's something that that's something that always like bothers me too, is because your word becomes gospel. And as somebody who's currently like, I'm still a practicing Catholic, it bothers me so much when people like shove that stuff under the rug or like act like it's not important. They're like, well, most pastors wouldn't do that. Sure, like most of everybody is not a horrible person, but that just makes it easier. Yeah, and that also makes it like easier for other people to go off like their credibility. Like if most priests, I've never met a priest that was inappropriate, or really any religious person, religious authority figure, but like their credibility gives credibility to those guys that are gonna misuse it. That massive amount of credibility, that literal like your word is gospel. So so that's
How do you fight that? I guess that's what really upsets me. I know we're not talking about the actual thing anymore, but
I've thought about this, by the way.
When you're a kid, one, you're taught you're supposed to respect and listen to adults. Then you're taught this adult is not only an adult that you're supposed to respect and listen to, but he talks to the most powerful being in the universe. The kids don't have any way to defend themselves. Yeah, like not just physically. And I mean, we can also add in the fact that this is a grown man who is stronger than a child, but it's
physically, mentally, everything.
Yeah, but everything about it is just like, I don't think you get overwhelming odds like that very often, you know, to where it's like this person is in a position of power because they are older and they are smarter. This person is in a position of power because they are holier and they speak to the creator of the universe. And this person is in a position of power because they can literally kill me with their bare hands. And then these kids are in the worst fucking situation they could possibly be stuck in. It's very sickening to me. I'm sorry I have not been funnier this podcast, but
Yeah.
Some of this stuff's really upsetting me. I still don't feel that bad for Ben Zobrist. Dude, you're hot, you're rich. Go get a new wife.
Yeah. Or if you're gonna keep the old one, like you don't need $6 million. So, I've thought about this, and I've actually talked to my sister, I have two nieces that I love, and a nephew I'm so about. And yeah, like I've talked to them because like you want to teach them to respect their elders, and because you don't want to raise shitty bratty kids, which are on the rise, by the way. And
Yes.
a girl who I'm actually friends with made the point. She's like, well, I was like, you gotta teach your kid to listen. She's like, well, I don't want him to listen because what if like one day a grown up tells him to do something like that, like what we were just talking about.
Yep.
And I was like, there's a huge difference between teaching your kids like what their rights are and what's okay, not okay, good touch, bad touch, and teaching them to respect their elders. It is a balance, but it's a balancing act that I don't think is impossible. Like you don't just throw out one for the other.
I don't know. I actually agree with your friend. I think telling kids, not telling them not to respect their elders, but telling kids like I think this is a lot like goes with like you're gonna mess up as a parent and apologize when you mess up and then explain like, yeah, everyone messes up.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and like let them understand, hey, you're supposed to respect your elders, but you know what? Some adults are going to mess up and some adults are bad people. And I think there are a lot of things to where we don't have conversations with kids because it's an uncomfortable conversation. But I think we should have those uncomfortable conversations and let it be uncomfortable. I had a kid the other day who got to school early and it was hot and was like, can I come in and sit in your classroom? And I said, no. And he said, why? And I told him, I said, I'm not going to be alone in a classroom with a kid. And he asked me why. And like an easy thing to do would say, because I said so. But I said, because unfortunately, there are some terrible adults who do terrible things to kids. And so teachers aren't allowed to be in a classroom alone with kids because we are trying to protect the kids from terrible adults who might do that. And that's a very uncomfortable conversation. But yeah. I think you have to have uncomfortable conversations with that. And yeah, I think it's a balancing act. You need to teach kids, hey, you should respect adults, but also you need to take care of yourself. It's just hard to do.
Yeah. So, so it is a balance. But so that girl that I was talking about, she's a friend of mine, her kid doesn't listen to anybody, doesn't even listen to her. Like
that's a problem.
Yeah, he is a freaking terror, and I don't like being around that kid. Like I love kids in general. I hate being around that kid. She was coming to one of my cousin's kids' birthday parties, and I was like, she's bringing that little Lewis kid. So yeah. So if you want people to hate your kid, like don't teach them to listen to elder, like don't teach them any of that stuff. But at the same time, so you're gonna create a bad person if you don't do that. And then on the other end, you don't want them to be so docile, I guess, that they do whatever anybody asks them to do. So you gotta strike that balance. But yeah, I don't think it's that hard to have those conversations with those kids. Like I've told my nieces a few different times, like, hey, you know, there's things that aren't okay. If you see something or something like that, like, and you can ask them questions without being like obvious as what you're talking about.
Sure.
And stuff like that. In fact, actually my friend, she was a forensic interviewer, and I don't know, I'm sure there's classes that you could probably take with your kids or stuff like that, where you kind of like learn ways to kind of ask or figure out things without freaking out your kid or something like that.
Yeah. I do feel like, and I only noticed this because this seems like it has not been that long, but my my Mac told me that it was almost out of battery, which one, if you heard a lot of weird noises and saw my screen being stupid, it's because I had to move to plug it in. But two, it tells me that we've been going pretty long. So I do think we should move to closing thoughts on comedy. And you had a disclaimer you wanted to throw in.
Oh, okay. So a few weeks ago, we were talking about and I mentioned the 3 different things why you would be a joke thief. One's crypto amnesia, which is just like you didn't remember that you heard something from somewhere else. That can happen to anybody. Just try not to let it happen to you, but that's just something that happens. Straight up stealing, don't do it. It's shitty. Like, if you're not a good enough comedian to write your own jokes, you're not good enough. Like, get in the sales, like I am. 3, there is thinking, like parallel thinking. The day Hugh Hefner died, everybody wrote the same joke.
Yeah, the half-mast joke. Or
Yeah.
full mast, the full mast.
Well, the joke that I saw a meme about it the next day, but like I was like, when you die, you go to a better place. But what's better than the Playboy Mansion?
Oh, okay.
Is he still there? And then like somebody wrote a meme like that the next day, and I was like, they for sure didn't see my open mic that night. So
yeah,
like there's no way. So yeah, like there's gonna be parallel thinking, and some of it's low hanging fruit, and some of it is just gonna be 2 people came to the same thought about the same thing. And that's gonna happen.
There are thousands of people writing comedy, especially, and we get to see all of them because of Twitter and everything else. It's just going to happen.
Yeah. And how many times have you watched a video and the comment that you want to make is already the top comment, and you're like, oh, never mind. I guess I don't need to add my 2 cents to this. I'm just gonna like that comment and move on. So it's like he nailed it. He got there first. So yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to say that was a 3rd thing, because I said that there was going to be 3rd things and I got sidetracked with the 3rd one. Why are all comedians sad?
That was not my question.
Okay, maybe I messed it up.
My comedy topic is, can you be happy and a good comedian? Which is close to what you said, but I've heard people who argue that you cannot be both happy and a good comedian. And so I want to hear your thoughts on that.
That must be why I suck. Anyway, I think that there is a lot of comedians that I think that there's a lot of people that have issues in general. I think that comedians have a way of dealing with their issues that is different than, or I think comedy is a very healthy way of working out your thoughts and ideas and sometimes like your internal demons.
I agree. Yeah.
So that's typically why I'm always on the side of comedy when like it comes to controversial things. I'm typically on the side of comedy, especially if I think that what they were trying to be was truthful.
Yes.
I'm typically going to take that side, even if I don't specifically agree with what they said. But yeah, so I think that I have noticed a lot of depression in our friend group specifically. Yes. I've been there. I know you've been there. So yeah, it's I don't know if it's necessarily like comedy makes you sad, or is it that like comedy is a place where it's like a light in a bug zapper to a bunch of little mosquitoes. That's what I think.
Yeah. I really wanted to talk about this. One, because I do think comedy, unfortunately, if you do it long enough, you're gonna have a friend take their own life. You're gonna have a friend overdose. It's not, I wouldn't say it's common, but it's much more common than as an accountant. And so I have heard a lot of people argue that to be funny or to be a good comedian, you have to have sadness inside of you. And I agree a little bit. I think a lot of comedy comes from pain. And I do think it's a healthy way to cope with pain. But I don't think you have to be, we all have pain. If you've made it 30 years of your life and you don't have any pain, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, something's wrong with you. Something else is wrong with you.
Yeah. So I do think you mind your pain, but I don't think you have to be actively unhappy to be a good comic. And I do feel like I've seen a lot of comics, including myself, fall into this trap to where we have unhealthy habits and we convince ourselves that these unhealthy habits cause us to be funny. So drinking all the time, being an alcoholic, if you're an alcoholic, you're not happy. But, and this is what I've fallen into, is convincing yourself, well, I'm not funny if I'm not drinking. Or, you know, this is something I can talk about, which makes it funny. I feel like maybe there is sadness in comedy, but I feel like I have seen a lot of comics use comedy as a real loose and rough excuse to continue a bad habit that they probably should quit, especially with drinking, because comedy happens in bars. You'll see comics who go, I'm not funny if I'm sober. And it says, and then like, usually I'll ask them, I'll say, when's the last time you went up sober? And I've had people answer that question with, I've never gone up sober. And I've had people answer that question with, it's been 3 years since I've gone up sober. And I'm so much funnier now. And you're funnier because you've been doing it for 3 years. I just feel sometimes it can become a cycle of, I'm sad, but I'm kind of embracing the sadness because I think it makes me funnier. And then you're spiraling into never trying to get better. I've heard people say, I'm not going to go to therapy because what if like they fix me and I'm not funny anymore? And so I do think comedy can come from pain. And some of my favorite, like Bo Burnham's new special, comes from a lot of depression, and it's beautiful and it's great and it's hilarious. But I think we get into a lot of trouble when we start going like, but I need to be depressed in order to make something like this. It's just like, just take care of yourself. You can remember the depression. You can remember all the pain you've experienced in life. I don't know. That's something I've struggled with a lot, to where I start romanticizing addiction and depression and anxiety and convincing myself that it is those things that make me funny. And when you think that your depression or your anxiety or your addiction is making you funny, it's hard to stop. It's hard to try to fix that or make yourself better, even without those thoughts. It's hard to go, I'm depressed and I want to get better. Even then it's hard. But when you go, I'm depressed and I don't want to get better because if I get better, I'll stop being funny. And so I also think that's a newer comic thing. I think once you're at comedy for a while, you kind of go, no, I can just be funny. Like, I'm just a funny person. But that is an argument I've heard a lot. I've had someone tell me you can't be funny. I had someone ask me about my parents once, and I said, my parents are great. They're still together. They love me very much. And they said, well, you're never going to make it. It's like, shut up, you fucking idiot.
I had a great childhood. I can't do comedy.
Yeah. It's also like, dude, your life sucks and you're at an open mic. You know, it's being sad doesn't make you funny. But I do think a lot of comedy comes from pain.
I don't know. I think you have to have like a lot of people not want to hang out with you to show up to that many open mics. Feel like
the other thing I fall into is like I no longer work on stuff at open mics because I started just seeing it as hanging out with my friends. I enjoy going to open mics. Mm-hmm. In Midland, Odessa, when we lived in the same place, it was, I'm gonna get to have a beer with Andrew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and like I'm gonna tell some jokes, but am I trying to get better? No, I'm just trying to get drunk with my friends. Which I don't think that's a bad thing if you can realize it and go, yeah, I'm going to go to the open mic. I'll probably perform, but don't act like I'm grinding or getting better. Like, I'm just there to drink with my friends.
Yeah, I think that was me too for a while. It wasn't until like I started like doing it in Denver again that I really felt like I was like, shit, like, because it took me a little while to make friends there. So like I started like just grinding and stuff like that. And that's kind of like where I started feeling like I wanted to be a comedian again, more than I just felt like that's just kind of like the vibe that I liked. But yeah.
Yeah. Since moving back to Lubbock, I've been really going, I'm working on this at this open mic, and then I'm going to come home, I'm going to listen it. And it's like, oh yeah, I love this. But I love the creative aspect of it. And it's easy to take away the creative aspect and just do the same jokes over and over again while drinking with friends.
Yeah. That being said, though, I do think that there are like some people that I think aren't cut out for comedy, but it's not because I don't think that I don't think they're not depressed. Like I was like, that guy doesn't have any mental illnesses. That guy's not gonna work out here. Like there's sometimes where I see people that just like have the wrong idea altogether as to what comedy is.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
like they're up there doing like impressions of like comedy. Like I think everybody's like seen somebody like just do like a Robin Williams impression on stage, and then you're like, all right. And I don't want to say like those people aren't like mentally ill, but like those aren't the people that are up there like trying to like sometimes like it's like people trying to translate their own thoughts on stage. Or I like to call them like social detectives or moral detectives. Heard that somewhere. Like just translating life. Those are my favorite types of comedians. And
I think I usually can tell if a comedian is gonna stick around based on, I'm very honest when I do shows. I don't mess around. I'll go, here's the show, here's how much you'll get paid. And a lot of times, and people might get mad at me for this, but it's just the truth of the world. A lot of times you're going to get paid nothing. But, you know, it will be, hey, you're not going to get paid anything. I think I did this in Midland a lot, where I'd say, hey, we're going to do a show. I'm paying $50 to advertise so we can get a good crowd there. I'm not making any money. And we're gonna take, I don't know what's happening. Someone's ringing my doorbell. I don't trust it. But you know, I've lost $50. We're gonna take donations after, but you know, the first $50 goes to me, not to make money.
Just to coop your losses. Yeah.
And then after that, I'm not gonna make any money. If we make $60, I'm not taking a dime of the 10 extra. But I've had comics go like, oh, I'm not gonna perform for free. And it's like, dude, you're 3 months in. What do you mean you're not going to perform for free? Like I don't think people understand if you're 3 months in and I'm letting you do my show that has a good crowd, I'm not taking advantage of you, especially if I'm not making money.
It's like an internship. Eventually.
I'm not, if I let you go on my show 3 months in, you should be so grateful to me. And maybe that sounds shitty, but
I don't disagree.
No, I don't think. I think people who don't do comedy might think that sounds shitty, but everyone who does comedy will say, I agree. And the people who I've met who are 3 or 4 months in, I go, hey, you're pretty funny. You want to come do a 5-minute spot on my show? I'm only going to give you 5 minutes because you've only been doing it 4 months, but it's a good show. We sell out every week. It's free. This was Chicago. But I used to run a show that every week had everyone there. And we actually did pay the comics a little bit. But it wasn't from money that it was, the bar gave us a certain amount of money. We put some towards advertising, some to pay the headliner, some to pay the feature. But if you were a guest spot, we didn't give you money. Because I really saw it as like, hey, I'm trying to be nice. You're someone who I think is pretty funny, but you don't get put on a lot of shows. You can come do a show. You can get a good clip. I would offer to film it for them so you can send it to other places and you've got a good audience. And I have a lot of comedians who come to my show, and a lot of the people I book shows. So I just think it's going to be helpful. And I've had people go, I'm not going to do that for free. And I go, okay, that's fine, but I'm not paying you because I told you I wasn't. And then typically those people quit within the next 3 or 4 months because it's not wrong to want to get paid for what you do, but you should want to be good enough to get paid.
Well, like I think you're in it for the wrong reasons if you're doing it to get paid.
And the thing is, you're not going to make a living. The people that I know who make a living now have been doing it 12 years and are really, really good. And they're not making a killing. You know, Rena Calm is a hilarious comedian. I don't know. I don't think you got to meet her when she came through Lubbock.
No, I don't think so.
I met her in Chicago. She's full-time on the road. She is extremely funny. Headlines all across the country. And she's been doing it for a long time. And she's been working her ass off for a long time. And she's very, very funny. And she's not crushing it money-wise. And I'm not talking shit about her. I have a lot of respect for her. But I don't think people understand. Because I do think some people go, I'm going to do some comedy. I'm going to get paid. People do it 10, 12 years and then start, if they're lucky, start making that a full-time job. And then it's not a I make $100,000 a year full-time job. I make $30,000 a year full-time job. And that's, that might be generous. Not saying it can't, I also have a couple of friends who got to write for Conan and stuff, and they make good money, but they'd been doing it 8 or 9 years. When someone can do comedy full-time in 8 years, people go, damn, like that happened so fast for them.
Oh yeah. Like doctors take that long to make money.
Yeah. And I think people don't realize if someone gets a writing job 6 years into comedy, you're like, holy fuck, what the hell happened? That guy was a wonder kid. Like that guy was, what's that called when you're a kid and you just get everything?
Savant, a genius.
Yeah.
Or a prodigy.
A prodigy. That guy was a prodigy because it only took him 6 years to make money off comedy full time. I don't think people understand that. If you have been doing it 6 years and you're full time, people are like, damn, that's amazing. How'd they do that?
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like I think that there's like some advantages to like there's like a lot of advantages to like just having time to do it. But yeah, like I've had a full-time job. Sorry, my mom's wants me to drink water. So
drink the damn water.
It's right there. No, so like I've like had a full-time job my entire life.
Yeah.
And so comedy for me, like first off, like I don't care if I make any money as long as if I can get on stage and get that feeling or like make people laugh and have that, like I'll take that over anything. But and a few times I have made money, I was like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
But I was like, this isn't like where my money comes from. My money comes from like from selling stuff. So the money aspect never bothered me, but it also weirded me out when like people are like, I don't make any money doing this. And I was like, yeah, but it's not really the point yet.
Yeah. And it shouldn't be for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're in it for the wrong reasons. It's
like
you
gotta love doing it.
It's like if you're a mercenary, but you don't love killing people, you're not really you're not a mercenary here.
Yeah. Just a mercenary in the pocket. That's not, you don't want to be that guy. You want to love killing.
Like if I get murdered by a mercenary that's just doing in it for the money, like I don't feel it. Like I feel it, but I don't feel it. And you notice it.
It doesn't stick with you afterwards. You don't go to the afterlife with that.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, like that was a one and done guy for sure.
His heart wasn't in it.
Yeah.
I do think we should start wrapping up because we've been doing it like 2 hours.
And I've had to pee since like we were talking about that Sobris thing.
Okay, I want to plug one show. I will be headlining in Lubbock, Texas, 2 Docs, Friday, June 25th at 9:30. Come check me out. And that's all I had to plug. You need to pee. Yeah,
I have an interview tomorrow with Methodist, but they are just interviewing me about my shark attack. Okay. And that is it. I'm going to try to tell a joke or two there. Let's see if, by the way, I've told a lot of jokes on these interviews that never make the final cut.
That's bullshit.
I just want you guys to know I am kind of funny on some of these and they make them all sappy. So that's not me editing.
Well, only do jokes.
Okay. I'll try to only do jokes. Like
or just do a joke up top that you're proud of and go, if y'all are not going to publish that, I'm not going to answer one of your questions seriously. I've not done comedy in over a year. And at this point, it's cruel not to publish my joke.
Yeah, I'm going to tell them that. I'm going to tell them that straight up at the top. All right. Thank you guys for watching Comedically Correct. Like, share, subscribe. Remember, we are giving away a antique troll that I have right here. Maybe I'll digitally put this in later.
And gasoline alcohol.
Gasoline alcohol for the 21 and older crowd. This is Comedically Correct. Sorry for wasting your time, and good night.
All right. Talk to you later, man.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.